Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to share with you all the 7-year impact report showcasing the work and the people who made this all possible. Our founders, Malika Redmond and Margaret Cargbo, could not predict the future, but laid the foundation to build an organization that created record high voter turnout amongst those we contacted, fought against widespread voter suppression across the state, combated attacks on our reproductive freedoms, and ushered in a wave of progress with the historic voter turnout in 2020. Women Engaged launched its first campaign through our signature We Vote, We Rise voter education program in October of 2014, with a few weeks left during the election cycle. We partnered with Groundswell Fund, Pro Georgia, the state C3 Civic Engagement Table, Rock the Vote, Spelman College, and many more to bring a unique experience to reach our community. We participated in a concert where one of our very own performed as the opening act. In all, we had over 1,000 voter conversations and identified over 100 reproductive justice supporters during our first Get Out the Vote campaign in 2014. In 2015, we focused our efforts heavily in East Point to increase the municipal voter turnout via canvassing and placing door hangers. We also hosted a candidate forum to inform our constituents and educate our canvassers on candidate platforms. While voter turnout was 15% of registered voters as a whole for East Point, of the 1,826 voters Women Engaged canvassed, 34% voted, a turnout that outpaced national averages by 10%. In 2015, we also debuted our Reproductive Justice Institute through the Tony K. Bombara Scholar Activism Conference at Spelman College. Reproductive justice was introduced by Black women health activists in the early 1990s who understood that the binary frame of the pro-choice movement too often failed to connect how access to abortion care was intimately tied to other equity issues that primarily impacted the lives of Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. Therefore, it had limited reach in their communities. The reproductive justice framework countered the binary pro-choice frame by acknowledging how intersecting forms of oppression worked in tandem to create overwhelming barriers to access to health care, especially reproductive and sexual health care, particularly for Black women and other women of color. In 2018, we worked with our partners to combat widespread voter suppression as we continued to provide services to our community members to ensure they were prepared for what was to come. We even had experience to intervene in an active case of suppression, where a polling location in Pittsburgh neighborhood of Atlanta, an area that's predominantly Black, attempted to close its doors earlier than scheduled, preventing voters from casting their ballots. Inside, there were people who had waited for over 5 hours because the precinct only had 3 working machines. We provided snacks and water and worked with our partners at Pro Georgia to get the doors open, which they did, and voters were able to cast their ballots. In 2019, HB 481, the abortion ban, was introduced in our state legislature, and we sprang into action, our partners in the Georgia Reproductive Health Rights and Justice Coalition. After more than 6 months of organizing alongside reproductive justice partners, in October of 2019, this bill was struck down by the court. It took an energetic, multi-pronged approach to achieve this victory. For Women Engaged's part, we created the hashtag PissedOffPeaches social media campaign, which went viral for several months, allowing us to build community with others and providing a platform for people to share their stories about the issue. We also worked with the Capitol, training community leaders on how to lobby their legislators. Our advocacy around the abortion ban included participating in panel discussions, such as with Pastor Dallas Wilson of Center of Hope Church during his Wednesday night service. We were thus able to educate nearly 40 members of the congregation about the implications of HB 481. The panel discussion concluded with many reconciling that while they may not agree with abortion personally, they do not want Black women criminalized for it. In 2020, as we all know, ushered in unprecedented times, as we had to convert our campaigns to remote and digital for the safety of our team and our communities. From day one, we integrated COVID relief into our work by adapting our Canvas scripts to include questions to identify community members in need of help. Through this effort, Women Engaged directly connected nearly 1,000 families with resources on food, housing, transportation, and more during those dark days. All this was done without putting any of our staff, partners, or community members in harm's way. In fact, at a time when political leaders were denying the severity of COVID threat, most offices remained open. Our CEO, Malika Redmond, chose to move the entire operations of Women Engaged virtually. This quickly proved to be a prudent decision that gave us a head start in pivoting to online platforms to meet voters' needs while taking care of our staff. During what could have been a cataclysmic period, thanks to rapid adoption of our online technologies, we expanded our operations beyond 8 counties to the entire state, thus reaching more voters during a critical 2020 and 2021 national and Senate runoff elections. Throughout the year, we sent over 700,000 text messages and made over 52,000 phone calls across all of our campaigns. Our office remains closed, but we continue to engage our base and our volunteers via our online platforms. Through our leadership offerings, including issue advocacy, reproductive justice advocacy, and voter engagement training, we have cultivated over 2,500 leaders, providing them with practical tools that they need for changing hearts and minds. Many have gone on to be leaders not only across the state of Georgia, but around the country, usually in reproductive justice campaigns or policy or law work. If leadership is an exercise in wielding power for the greater good, then Women Engage's mission is to help the disenfranchised tap into their power. For 7 years, Women Engage has cultivated leaders in our communities to be advocates of the issues that matter most to them. We focus on Black women's leadership, but not only theirs, the leadership of all those whose voices and influences have been discounted, which includes Black men, LGBTQ, cis, trans, and gender-expansive people. For this reason, canvassing, deep dives, constituent forums, message testing, and other dialogue-based activities are a key part of our work. Once we have heard from the community, we conduct year-round issue advocacy, using those conversations to deepen understanding on key issues and hold elected officials accountable and the broader community. This includes numerous media appearances, mentions that help shape public opinion on our issue areas. For example, in 2021 so far, Women Engaged has been featured in 8 radio podcasts. In 2020 and 2021, we were featured in 15 mainstream publications. Women Engaged has grown from receiving an initial $35,000 voter engagement project grant in 2014 from Groundswell Fund to a thriving 501c3 organization in 2021 with an annual budget of over $1.8 million, with a 2022 goal to grow to $3.5 million. We thank all of our current donors and funders for your continued support. Women Engaged gives a special note of gratitude to Vanessa Daniels, Letitia Jackson, Paige Gleason, Tanya Clayhouse, Tamika Atkins, Pia Infante, Leah Ali, and Alejandra Ruiz for being true collaborators with the leadership of Women Engaged. This year, we are excited to embark on our expansion of reparations, which we state is a matter of reproductive justice. Over the next phase of Women Engaged reproductive justice work, will center on gaining reparations, including educating and organizing communities, the reproductive justice movement, and those who fund reproductive justice to understand and support efforts that prioritize reparations as a necessary part to actualizing true reproductive justice. As we set forth this week to continue to celebrate, we invite you to view our impact report and celebrate with us the amazing work of our leadership, staff, team, community, and partners who have done this to aid progress across the state of Georgia. You can view the rest of our impact report on our website, www.womenengage.org.